it's your boy Luke here for another DFS video, this time with our value picks for this week's Waste Management Open. These players priced $7,500 and below are going to be solid value plays that not only have a relatively high floor, but also the ceiling to get there for some GPP contest. Last week, our picks were absolute fire. We had 3 of ours finish in the top 10, including Troy Merritt, who finished 4th, Joel Damon finished in 6th, and Pat Perez finished tied for 9th. All of them ended up being in the optimal lineup. So last week, of course, that really helped our DFS lineups. All of them were about 20-25% exposure in my player pool, which led us to a relatively profitable week. This time around, we're looking to have a similar level of success, not only targeting players that go out and make a cut, but of course give us that top end upside as well. So here in this video, that's exactly what we're going to go ahead and do. So let's go ahead, see if we can build on that momentum and start off with our picks for this week. All right, guys, on the screen, you can see the projections for this week, and we're down here in this $7,500 and below range. Of course, some of our core picks we already talked about here on the channel, so not going to go ahead and touch on them. We have 6 brand new value plays ready to go for you. Led off by Gary Woodland at $7,300. He's a past winner here at TPC Scottsdale after the renovation. He's a bomber, somebody who, when he's playing his best, is one of the best iron players in the world. And although he might not be the best putter historically, he's somebody who knows these greens very well and has had plenty of ceiling performances here over the years. If we take a look at some of the recent form, there's also quite a bit to be excited about. First off, in the ball striking categories, gaining both off the tee and on approach. He's long off the tee. We're used to seeing him gain in that category, but he had been so wildly inaccurate towards the end of 2021 that he started to lose in that category. Now, a lot of that sample size is still included here, but of late has gone out to gaining a ton of strokes, so much so that he's gotten himself back into the positive. We take a look at just the last 10 to 15 rounds, he's gaining nearly half a stroke off the tee per round. So you love to see that. He's got that off the tee working like we saw back in his prime. The approach play has also followed suit. That's something that he was really struggling with. He really didn't look anything like himself to begin 2021, but here in 2022, much like a Jason Day, coming out here looking like his old self. So I'll be buying in on this. He's a past winner here. The putting's actually been a lot better of late than what we're used to. You can see that over his last 50 rounds, actually a slight gainer. So even though he's not the best putter for his career, he's been slightly better than average of late. And now that he's returning to a surface that he clearly has a lot of familiarity with, should be extremely comfortable with, I expect him to have another big week. So he's $7,300. He's priced around quite a few other plays I'd consider. I also do like KH Lee, also do like a Russell Knox, but I do expect Woodland to come in lower owned than both of those options and also still be an excellent play. Next up, though, we're going to be going to Keegan Bradley, who is somebody I considered using as a core pick. You can see he's a top 10 course fit rank in terms of his fit here at TPC Scottsdale. The recent form hasn't been all that special, but he's been doing Keegan Bradley things of late. That is gaining a ton of strokes on approach, gaining off the tee, because he's still got a lot of length here at his age. And on with the greens, just bleeding strokes. That's what we're used to seeing with Keegan Bradley. But if you guys saw my course breakdown video or my core picks video, you know that putting at TPC Scottsdale is by far the least important stat. We've had Hideki Matsuyama win here multiple times, Brooks Koepka win multiple times, Kyle Stanley is one here. Just tons of players that aren't very good on the greens. And that's not just win. We've seen plenty of them compete post top 5, top 10s over the years as well. I mean, Emiliano Grillo shows up here every single year. So why not Keegan Bradley this time around? The ball striking has been there. And if we take a look at the around the green play, he's not known for it. It's still been rated around neutral. So I really do like him at this type of venue. He's also somebody I don't expect to be super highly owned. He hasn't put up that much flashy stats of late. He hasn't had any of those super top end performances, and he's kind of hard to get a gauge on. He tends to go out there, show up seemingly out of nowhere at times without a semblance of form. This is one of the golf courses he could very well go out and do that. Next up, we have Mito Pereira here at $7,000, who is going to be a problem this week. This is going to be the chalk of the chalk maybe 20-25% owned, even down here in the 7K range. And frankly, I can't talk you off of it. He's $7,000. He comes in as a top 10 model rank regardless of fit. That's including recent form as well. He's number 12 in terms of a fit at Scottsdale, 7 in terms of recent form. And if we take a look at some of the recent metrics, even though it didn't look all that great on Friday, ended up missing the cut last week, had a really disappointing Friday. Started off excellent. Actually, I believe it was even Saturday he had that performance. The first 2 days he looked great. Forgot it was 3 days there. And ended up throwing it away at the last second. But in terms of his approach play, exactly what we're looking for, gaining nearly half a stroke per round. A lot of that too is at shots gained events that are pretty high end. Towards the fall, he wasn't playing in all these high end events, but to start 2022, these have all been legit tour events, and he's still gaining a significant amount of strokes to the field. The putting has been a lot better than we expected. We heard out of the Corn Ferry Tour that this was a guy that can get streaky with the putter, but to this point on tour, he's been consistently good, and that's why we've seen him perform so well. And frankly, this is just a misprice by Draftkings. He's going to be extremely chalky. I think everyone knows to go out and play him this week, and if you don't, you're probably going to be left behind because this is a ball striker's paradise. Mito Pereira, one of the best ball strikers on tour ever since he's gotten out here. The putter has been there, and even though we don't need putting this week, it's always a plus, right? If a guy's a great putter, we're not going to hold that against him. At his price tag, he's a no-brainer play for this week. Next up, we have Emiliano Grillo. I know we talked about him before, but this guy shows up here literally every single year. He's an immaculate ball striker. If we take a look at the recent form metrics, off the tee play has been insane, gaining nearly a third of a stroke per round. The approach play, maybe not as good as we've seen in the past. He's been going through a swing change to end 2021. He really started to struggle at some of the golf courses where he really shined as well. But he's really started to work through those swing changes. He brought on a new swing coach, that type of thing. And over his last 2 to 3 events, he has gained significantly with the irons. So you like to see that approach play has come back. The off the tee play never left. He's always been long and accurate off of the tee. And that combination right there, elite ball striking, elite driving, is exactly what gets you a win at this golf course. He's somebody who sure isn't the best putter on tour, but hey, that is pretty much a trend or a pattern at this point, right? These guys that aren't so good at the putting tend to excel at this golf course, which also makes him a no-brainer play at $6,700. Much like a few of the other guys on this list, like a Gary Woodland, also somebody up here like a Keegan Bradley, they're a little bit hard to predict, right? They tend to go off at random circumstances, but usually when it's at a golf course that fits their eye, and that should definitely check off that box this week at TPC Scottsdale. Next up, we're going to be going to Sebastian Munoz at $6,500. He's extremely volatile. He's one of the most aggressive players on tour. And another key aspect I'm looking at in players this week is their aggressiveness, how willing they are to take on pins. Because here at TPC Scottsdale, there is a ton of risk and reward involved. There are par 5s that are island greens where you really got to consider whether to go for it or not. Pretty much all the par 4s are going to be placed at devilish locations. There's going to be drop-offs to the left or the right. These greens are tiered, and it is going to be an aggressive player's field. If you go out there and you're aggressive and you have your game, you can take it to 7 or 8 under par. Of course, on the flip side, you can easily shoot well over par. Munoz is not afraid to do either of those things. In fact, he embraces that. And that's what I love about him this week. He's $6,500. It's not like we're investing all of our lineups into him. And even though he's going to be a core value play for me this week, he's somebody who's immense upside I'm always looking to buy in on. Particularly if he's this cheap. I don't expect him to be relatively high owned because of some of these recent performances. But he's got the off the tee distance we're looking for. Let's go ahead and look at some of these recent metrics, which aren't all that bad. That's why I don't understand the price here. The off the tee, he's losing off the tee, but he's still super long off the tee. If we take a look at his driving distance, you'll see that he's number 45 in the world. That's excellent. It's just the accuracy hasn't been there. He's put himself in quite a few hazards, but we're playing desert golf, right? There are natural areas out there, but unless you get super unlucky, you can still hit out of them. So I like his chances this week to gain off the tee with that distance. The approach play has been excellent, and that's a very consistent stat, right? From round to round, you're going to see that approach play be the most consistent, and of late, he's been an absolute monster. So I like that number there at nearly 0.4 of each stroke gained per round. And the putting hasn't quite been as good as what we've seen historically. He's been close to a 0.2 shots gained per round putter for his career. So if he can return to that type of baseline, continue the ball striking with the irons, of course, he's going to gain strokes off the tee this week without a ton of water in play. There's water in play on 6 holes, only off the tee on 3 holes. So it's not quite People kind of overblow that. There's water in play, but it's not really in play for all that many holes. I expect him to have a very solid week, particularly at this type of price tag. And now finally for our last value play, that's going to be Jason Dufner, and he's $6,100. And he's another one of these dog shit putters that really does it with the ball striking. And of late, Jason Dufner has been hitting it pretty damn well. So if we go down here and take a look at the shots gained metrics, this is a little bit of a longer term view, right? This is the last 50 measured rounds right here. Where is he at? Jason Dufner right here. He's gaining off the tee, right? Gaining nearly a little bit over a quarter of a stroke per round and gaining nearly 3/10 of a stroke per round on approach. He's always been one of the best iron players on tour, whether it's long irons, wedges, you name it. This guy is going to be getting it close to the hole. Off the tee though, that's interesting, right? If we take a look at some of the stats over here, if we take a look at his driving distance, he's never been one of the longer players. He's not one of the more accurate players either, quite frankly, but at the same time he's consistent. He's always putting it in play. He's not really hurting himself either way, and at this golf course, that's what we need, right? It's only 7,300 yards. We're also playing at elevation, which really means it's closer to 7,000 yards, which plays directly into his hands. The only holes he's going to have some trouble are on the par 5s. He'll be laying up. That's his thing on par 5s. He lays up on almost every par 5 anyways, unless it's like 500 yards, that type of thing. And we've seen guys like a Kuchar and Snedeker still have success here over the years. Some of those plotters, people that are extremely precise with their irons. So why not Jason Dufner, right? He's that dog shit putter. He fits that mold that we're looking for here. The around the green play has been much better than late. He's been actually a positive in that category. When he was early in his career, he was horrible around the green. So that's good to see that he's turned that around. He's $6,100, again, just $100 more than the minimum, and you're going to be looking at sub 2% ownership. Nobody's going to be going to the guy this week. So to get significant leverage on the field, you pretty much max out at 10%, right? That'd be 5x the field, and he definitely brings a lot of upside to the table as well. That's all I've got for the value picks this week. Before you guys go on and get out of here, go ahead and let me know down in the comments who your favorite value price $7,500 and below is for this week. Of course, for me, you know that there's a bunch I like. Gary Woodland to Mito Pereira, probably 1A and 1B right there. But go ahead and let me know who you guys have got down in the comments. And as always, I really appreciate all of your support here. You guys coming by and enjoying the content. If you haven't already liked the video or subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys go ahead and do so. That way you don't miss any of the content I'm posting in the future, whether it's our DFS content, our fades and sleepers that'll be dropping tomorrow morning, our weekly DFS live stream that'll be Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, or of course our prize picks content or DFS showdown content throughout the weekend. I've got you guys covered from all the bases. Thank you guys for stopping by again. Good luck with all of your DFS lineups for this weekend. Feel free to go ahead and put any questions you guys have about guys price $7,500 or below down in the chat. I'll get back to you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.